Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome to lesson number 5 in this series called Quant Revision for the SNAP exam. I know SNAP's coming up, 2 dates coming up this month, and I'm sure you guys are all, preparing fervently. Preparing fervently in order to do well in this exam, right? So today's session, we are going to cover time and work. This is quite an important topic from the perspective of the SNAP exam. Work is a very important topic, almost near certainty in any entrance exam, especially the SNAP. And the idea is to find these kind of topics, these kind of questions in the exam, and make sure that you attempt them correctly, right? Right. In today's session, my name is Anand. I am Bangalore graduate. I've done my engineering before that, and I train students for a variety of entrance exam. I have about a 10-year duration, 10-year experience in CAT, ZAT, SNAP, IFT. When you name these exams, and I've probably helped students clear these. In today's session, I'm going to discuss, the basics of time and work, but also the major question types and how to approach each one of these problems. The idea is that I will help you create a mental map of time and work and make sure that you don't really get any of these questions wrong. Before we start today's session, quick reminder: we're going live multiple times in a day on YouTube, so do follow our channel. That's Unacademy CAT4MBA. We also have a Telegram channel where you can get updates on the daily sessions that are happening. You can also follow me. That's Anand for Quant. That's my channel on Telegram, and that will give you information about my live sessions on a daily basis. I hope that you guys did check out the Unacademy Champions League. This happens every Sunday. It happens every alternate Sunday at 5 p.m. This first edition took off today. And there are exciting prizes to win, so make sure that you check this out sometime in the coming weeks. The next batch, as you can see, last batch that started on the Unacademy app, perfect score batch, started on the 1st of January. If you are looking at CAT 2021, I think join one of these extremely effective batches. All you need is a valid subscription plan, so choose the 1-year, 2-year plan depending on when you are planning to take the exam. I think if you're looking at CAT next year, then no questions asked, you should go in for the 24-month subscription, because it will help you prep for not just the written exam but also PI/VAT, the GDPI stage. Right. Don't forget, you get a 10% discount by using my referral code AV01. So make sure that you avail of that. Right. So what do we do today? Right. Time and work. I think the fundamentals are fairly straightforward. The formula, much like distance, speed and time, is that work is equal to rate into time, right? The amount of work that is done in any example, in any scenario, is measured in appropriate units, right? So there's no real unit that, because how do you quantify work? If the problem says that, okay, A can complete a task in 5 days. Now what exactly is that task? Well, it could be something like printing out sheets of paper, or maybe some task in the kitchen, cutting a fruit. So you can't really quantify it. So what you think is, whatever is the quantum of work, assume it in a finite number of units and say that amount of work is being done, right? Now quantifying that in units has a very clear purpose, right? The other important thing to notice is that there is proportionality between these three variables. What do I mean, right? So work that is completed will depend on the rate at which you do work as well as how long you work, right? So for every person who works, there is an efficiency that he or she will bring to the table, right? So how much do you do? What's the rate at which you do work? And there is also time. How long do you take, right? So work will be a multiple of both the rate and the time. Now this is important because in a problem on work, typically you'll be given the time taken, right? So and rate clearly will be something that you'll assume as the amount of work that is done per unit time, right? In 1 unit time, if the time is given in hours, then in 1 hour how much work is done. If the time is given in minutes, then 1 minute how much work gets done, right? So that's what will be represented by the rate. And for a quick approach, in any work problem is, we know that the problem will give me the time taken by A, B, C, D, etc. Right? And when you are given time taken by multiple people to do the same work, you will say that the work will then be a multiple of each of their respective time periods given. Right? So approach will be dictated by that data. So what you do is you assume the work. Right? If, for example, let's take an example to understand this. Let's say A takes 15 days and B takes 20 days to do a certain job. Right? So since I'm given time taken as 15 days and 20 days, let's say the work is a convenient value, something which is divisible by 15 as well as 20. So let's say the work is 60 units. Right? And now that you know the work, remember, you know work, the problem already gave you time, so you can calculate rates, right? So A's rate, how do you calculate rate? Work upon time. So A's rate will be 60 upon 15, that's 4. B's rate will be 60 upon 20, that's 3, right? So rate of A will be 60 upon 15, rate of B will be 60 upon 20. So we'll get that as 4 and 3 units per day respectively. Now what is the question saying? What happens if A and B work together? Right? If people work together, then their rates will get added. So you'll say, okay, determine the rate. Group rate here will be 4 plus 3, 7. 7 units a day, right? And now that you have rate and you assume the work, you can calculate the time taken, right? So together, how long will they take? That will be the work to be done divided by the rate at which it's done. That's 7. So this is going to take 7 8s are 56, slightly more than about 8 days, right? So maybe 8.5 days is the time taken by this group. Right, A and B together to finish the task, right? So in a nutshell, the approach will be something like, start with a convenient value of work, determine individual rates, and if the question says people work together, combine करके उनका group rate निकाल लो और फिर उस group rate से आप question solve कर सकते हो. Remember, work, rate and time. Formula याद होना चाहिए, work is equal to rate into time, and you can pretty much apply it on any problem scenario, right? Okay, now the first problem type, we're going to discuss 4 problem types in today's session. The first type is when people work in a group, right? Quite obviously what you will do is that once you calculate the individual rates, you will combine the rates of each of the people or pipes or whatever is given in the problem. You'll add their rates to calculate the group rate, right? Let's understand this very, very quickly. So here's a problem. Arun and Karthik, 2 persons, complete a task in 12 days and 15 days respectively. How long would they take together, right? Now you know that individual time taken 12 days, 15 days, right? So let's assume the work to be an LCM. कितना assume करूँ? 12 और 15 का LCM 60 है. So let the work be 60 units, right? Now that you've assumed work, right? Remember formula यहाँ side में लिख लेते हैं हमेशा, work is equal to rate into time, right? Your given time, you've assumed work. So you'll get Arun's rate A as work upon time, 60 upon 12, that's 5 units a day, and Karthik's rate as 60 upon 15, that's 4 units per day, right? And so if they work together, what is the rate, right? So together the group rate will be A's rate plus K's rate, right? So that's going to be Arun plus Karthik, 5 plus 4 is 9 units a day, right? Now you know the rate and you know how much work needs to be done. So time taken together will be work upon rate. How much work? 60 units. At what rate? 9 units per day. Time taken will then become, simplifying this, 20 by 3 or 6 and 2/3 of a day. That's option D. Right? So you can see it's a very, very simple answer if you know the approach. The approach basically that you will follow in every question is assume work, get the rates. If people are supposed to work together, add these rates and get the group value of rate, right? And once you have the group rate and you know the work to be done, it's only a matter of time before you can determine the time needed, right? Here's a slight variation on the same sort of problem type. You are given the time taken by Park, right? So Park takes 20 days, but you're not given the time taken by the other guy, Kui. You are in fact said Park and Kui together take 8 days, right? So you're not given, individual time taken by A and B. You're given time taken by one guy and combined time taken by both of them together, right? Does that change my approach? Not really. So we'll still start with let the work be an LCM of 20 and 8. Right? What is the LCM of 20 and 8? Well, 20 into 2, 40, 8 into 5 is also 40. So let the work be 40 units, right? This means that Park's rate, will be 40 divided by the time taken by him, 20 days, right? So that's 2 units per day. But now the next time taken is together, right? So you'll say in that formula, which is work is equal to rate into time, you'll say work done will still be 40, right? But now the rate will be the combined rate, right? Which means this will be Park's rate plus quiz rate into time taken by them together is 8 days, right? So 40 will be P plus K into 8. So 8 5s are 40 means substituting the value of P from here, you'll get K as 5 minus P, which is 2, right? So 5 minus 2 is 3 units per day. So you know that the other guy finishes 3 units every day. And so time taken, how long does Qui take to complete it alone? So time taken by Qui alone will be the total work 40 divided by the individual rate of Qui, that's 3. So this is going to be 13 and 13 3s are 39. So 13 and 1/3 of a day. That's option B. Yeah. So I hope that you guys are finding this kind of problem very straightforward. Let's do one more question of this type before we move on to problem type 2. Here A takes 18 days working alone, B alone takes 15 days, but with C's help they took 6 days, right? So you're given 18, 15 and 6. So let the work be an LCM of 18, 15 and 6. Now it turns out 6 and 18 have an LCM of 18 and 18 and 15 have an LCM of 90, right? So you'll assume the work to be 90 units. This tells me that A's rate will be 90 upon 18, that's 5 units per day. B's rate will be 90 upon 15, that's 6 units per day. And also when you are using time taken by C together with A, B and C, so you will get the combined rate of A, B and C, right? This should be 90 upon 6, right? That's 15, right? And if I use the values of A and B, then 5 plus 6 plus C should be equal to 15, which means C should be 4 units per day. Alright, so C alone can do the job in how long, right? Time taken by C will be the work done, which is 90 units need to be done at what rate? 4 units per day. So 90 upon 4 is like 45 upon 2, which is like 22 and a half days, right? So that's going to be my answer, option B. C alone can do this job in 22 and a half days, right? Just for sort of variety's sake, I'm including a problem from pipes, but the approach remains the same. I am given time taken by A and B as 2 hours, 3 hours, but now with pipes there is a slight, you should expect and anticipate this kind of a situation where there is a pipe which doesn't fill, which in fact empties, right? So you can still use the time taken 2 hours, 3 hours and 6 hours, right? So let the work be LCM of 2, 3 and 6, which indeed is 6, right? So let the work be 6 units. This tells me that A fills at a rate which is 6 by 2, that's 3 units per hour. B fills at a rate which is 6 by 3, that's 2 units per hour. But now look at this, right? C empties the full tank, which means the work done by C is minus the full, it will empty the entire tank. So it will do minus 6 units of work in 6 hours, which means it will do minus 1 unit every hour. Okay, and if all the taps are turned on at the same time, right? So what is the group rate? Group rate G would be A plus B plus C, right? So that's going to be 3 plus 2 minus 1, that is 5 minus 1 is 4 units per hour, right? Now that's the group rate. Then time taken by them together will be work upon rate, right? I know the work is 6 units and rate is 4 units, so I'm getting 3 by 2 or 1.5 days, 1.5 hours rather, right? And so that's option C, 1.5 hours. Right, so that's like the basic the basic question type. Next problem type is when people are working in a sequence, right? Here, what you get is that people, pipes, etc., they begin to work at different stages in the timeline, right? So it's like, okay, at 10 o'clock A works, and then 5 o'clock B joins him, and then at 7 o'clock somebody else joins in, and working in this manner, when will they finish the task? So people join, or people start working or end working at various stages in time. So how do I combine this all together? Well, there are two approaches that we'll discuss. The first approach is to work individual by individual, right? Now you try and figure out, if there are A, B, C, D, multiple people working, then you try and figure out how long each of them worked, and obviously assuming the work, and you've already calculated their individual rate. So if you just know how long each of them worked, then you calculate work done by each person as his rate into time taken, and then you add all of it and equate it to the total work that you assumed, right? And that will give you an equation which you can solve, right? And this is the first approach, right? But instead of working with individuals, you can also work with, what you can also do is you can divide the entire timeline and say, okay, from this time to this time, these are the people who work. From this time to this time, this is another set of people that works. And so every time you can identify for a fixed duration who works. So you will break it down into these segments, and you will calculate work done in each segment as, the rate in that segment depends on who's working into time for that segment, right? So you calculate the work done in each segment, and you add all the segments together and equate it to the total work. And that equation can be solved to determine time, right? So usually when people work in a sequence, this is what you do. Let's take an example. Let's say Arun and Sukanya. This one says that Arun and Sukanya take 30 days and 45 days respectively to finish a task when they work alone, right? So you're given 30, you're given 45. We'll start the question the same way. Let the work be an LCM of these two values, LCM of 30 and 45, है ना? तो multiply करके भी देख लोगे तो 30 into 3 is 90, 45 into 2 is 90. So 90 is that convenient value, and this means that Arun's rate will be 90 divided by 30 days. That's 3 units every day, and Sukanya will do 90 upon 45. That's like 2 units every day. Right? Okay. Now, what do you know about the manner in which they work, right? So think about a timeline. This is when they start. And when they start, they both work together. Arun and Sukanya are both working, right? But somehow, Sukanya had to leave 5 days before completion of task, which means if this is where the task was completed, then Sukanya will leave somewhere here, right? And up until here, Arun and Sukanya both have worked, which means if Sukanya leaves at this point, then only Arun will work beyond this point, right? Now, I don't know when that is, right? In fact, the only information I'm given is that she leaves 5 days before the task, which means only A would work alone for the last 5 days. Right? So we can assume that, let's say Arun and Sukanya together work for the first X days, after which Sukanya leaves, and so Arun alone works for the last 5 days. Right? Now I can, I remember I told you 2 approaches. I could use both approaches here. And let's use the first approach. Work done by Arun plus work done by Sukanya should be the 90 units completed, right? Arun works for how long? Well, Sukanya leaves, but Arun works for the entire duration. Arun works at a rate which is 3 for how long? First X days and the last 5 days. So Arun works for X plus 5 days. Sukanya on the other hand will work only for the first X days, and Sukanya's rate is 2. So plus 2 into X, and this equation is equal to 90. So 3X plus 2X is 5X. This is 3 into 5, 15, 90 minus 15, this will become 75. So X is, X is 5 ones are 5, 5 fives are 25. So 15 days. So Arun and Sukanya work for 15 days, followed by 5 days when Arun works alone. So when will the task be completed? Answer is option A. Right? So this is approach 1. But there is, remember, a second approach, approach 2. Right? Instead of working with individuals, you could also break this down into 2 segments. First segment of X days, which is when Arun and Sukanya worked, right? So the rate in that first segment will be Arun's rate plus Sukanya's rate. So 3 plus 2, that's 5 units a day. And the rate in the second segment will be that of Sukanya, which is 2 units per day. So you'll say W1 plus W2, work in segment 1 plus work in segment 2 should be 90. Work in segment 1 is rate of 5 into time of X days. Work in segment 2 is only Arun means work rate of 3 and time was only 5. Right? So 3 into 5, 15 means X will be 90 minus 15, 75 divided by 5. That's equal to the 15 days that you got. Right? I hope that gives you a nice flavor of how you can approach such a question, right? People joining in at various points in time. Hi Nisban, welcome here. I can see that you're active now on YouTube as well. Right. Here's another problem. On work again, A and B. 14 days, 21 days, working alone. Right? A works alone for the first 4 days, then B works alone for the next 5 days, and then B is joined by A till completion of task. Then how long does it take? Right? How long does it take? Working this way, right? The first part of the question is straightforward. If A takes 14 days and B takes 21 days, then we can assume the work to be an LCM of those values. Let work be 42 units. Right? And this is useful because this tells me that A's rate will be 14 into 3 units per day, and B's rate would be 21 into 2 is 42, so 2 units per day. So A's rate and B's rate have been determined. Well, Nisba, I'm going to cover all topics, all question types within work. I am not sure कि work में कुछ advance होता भी है, और ये वैसे भी snap के लिए है, तो basic ही रहेगा. Right? Not too much, reinvention of the wheel. So rates आ गए, और अगर timeline देखोगे तो you know that initially A begins, then that happens for 4 days, then B works alone, and that happens for the next 5 days, and at that point A also joins him, so A and B work for the last, let's say, X days. Right? And this way they complete the job, which means work W1 plus W2 plus W3, right? Work in all 3 segments combined should be 42. What is work done by in the first segment? A alone works, which means he works at 3 units per day for 4 days. Similarly, second segment, B alone, right? That's 2 units per day into 5 days. And third segment, A and B together work, so that's 3 plus 2, 5 units per day for X days, right? So 5X units. This total should be 42. What do I get? 10 plus 12 is 22. So 5X would be 42 minus 22. That's 20. Which means X would be 4. So together they work for the last 4 days. And so total time taken will be 4 plus 4, 8 plus 5, 13. Option C is what you would be marking. Absolutely, Mridul. There won't be, googly type के questions नहीं आएंगे. ये बिल्कुल basic level के straightforward problems ही important हैं, right? But we will look at a few twists, not very very complicated, the doable ones, right? तो ये again sequence वाला देखो, Jack and Maddox take 15 and 20. तो अब मैं थोड़ा सा mental math कर सकता हूँ. 15 और 20 का LCM 60 है, so let the work be 60. Then Jack's का rate हो जाएगा 60 upon 15, that's 4, and Maddox का rate हो जाएगा 60 upon 20, that's 3. Individual rates निकाल लिए. They start working together and Maddox quits 1 day before completing the job, right? Which basically means last day who works? Maddox is quit, so Jack's alone, right? Which means work done in the last day. Work done on last day. कितना work करेंगे? So this is Jack's alone, which means he works at 4 units per day for 1 day. So Jack's alone completes 4 units of work out of 60 units, which means together they completed the remaining 60 minus 4, right? They completed the remaining 56 units. At what rate? Since they did it together, you'll say 56 will be the combined rate, which is 7 into time taken, and you can see that time taken is 7 8s are 56, so time taken is 8 days. So before Maddox quit, it took them 8 days. So including that last day, we'll say how many days does Jax work? Jax worked for the first 8 days along with Maddox, and then one more day when Maddox has quit. So Jax works for a total of 9 days. Any idea what will be the level of difficulty on? Yeah, I don't think that LOD के बारे में कुछ comments होने चाहिए. Like simple ही रहेगा यार, easy. I think easy to medium level is what you should be expecting, even on the 6th, which is day after. No, a day after, right? अच्छा, ये वाला question try कीजिए. 2 pipes take 24 and 32 minutes respectively to fill a tank, right? तो 24 का multiple और 32 का common multiple चाहिए हमें. LCM क्या आएगा यहाँ पे? Remember 24 is 8 3s are 24. This is 8 into 4. तो LCM जब लेते हैं तो 8 common आ जाएगा और 3 और 4 का LCM तो 12 होता है, तो 8 into 12 हो जाएगा LCM, right? Which is 96 units. So you assume the work to be 96. A's rate would be 96 by 24. 24 into 4 is 96. B's rate is 32 into 3 is 96. Right? And both pipes are opened together, which means A and B work from the start. And at some point B is closed, but you know that the tank is full in 18 minutes. Right? So if this time taken is X minutes, then the remaining, once it's closed, right, only A works for the last 8 minus X minutes. Right? So what you can then do is you can say that the work done in the first segment plus work done in the second segment should be this 96. Works done in the first segments, A and B together work that. Right? So if A and B together work, rate will be 7, time is X. But in the second segment, B has quit. Right? Right? So if B is closed, then A alone works at 4 units per minute for the remaining 8 minus X minutes, and this total should be 96. Right? So 7X minus 4X is 3X, but 8 into 3 is 24, so 96 minus 24 is like 72, which means you can say that X will be 72 by 3, that's 24 minutes per day. Yeah, sorry. This is 18 minus X, not 8. Completely my bad. 18 into 4 is 72. So this would be 72 and this becomes 24. So X would be 24 by 3. That's 8 minutes. Right? My apologies. Yes. Thanks for pointing that out, Nisba. Absolutely. These kind of problems, I think it's more a question of speed, right? Can you get this done in 30 seconds? तो वो करने के लिए ये सारा mentally करना है, ये सारा दिमाग में करना है. Right? It's quite possible to do that, but you need to practice. Yeah. Next problem type, 2 more problem types that I'll discuss with work. Alternate days. Alternate days में क्या होता है कि 2 या 3 लोग होते हैं, and the problem will say they work every second day, every third day, they work alternate days, right? So the approach basically says that you figure out something that repeats. There will be a cycle of working which will repeat over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? And once you figure out what repeats, right, you'll call that one cycle, and you'll calculate the work done in one cycle. This will help you calculate how many complete cycles there will be, and hence how much work will be completed in such number of cycles, right? And lastly, whatever work is left, now then you'll start working on individually, right? Then next day who works and how much work will get done, and so on and so forth, right? So that's the approach to be taking with problem on alternate working, right? So consider this example, A, B and C, 15 days, 30 days, 45 days. So how much should I assume work? Something divisible by 15 and 45 have LCM as 45, right? But 30 and 45 have LCM of 90, right? So let the work be 90 units, right? And so A's rate will be 15 times how much is 90? 15 times 6 is 90. B's rate will be 30 times 3 is 90. C's rate is 45 into 2 is 90, right? So these are respectively the rates A, B and C for the 3 people, right? So how long will C take to do the work? So C works if he is assisted by A and B on every third day, right? So now think about what happens. First day, right? Let me make a table like this, right? Day versus who? Right? So on day 1, C will work. Day 2 also C will work. It's only on the third day that A and B will join. Right? So and then next day and the day after that will be chilling. Right? And then on the 6th day again C followed by A and B will work. Whereas on the previous 2 days it will be C only. Right? So the moment I figure out, how work happens, I can identify that this is the cycle that repeats C, C, CAB, C, C, CAB. So you need to find a repetitive pattern in the manner in which work is done. Right? And the moment you identify that pattern, you'll say, okay, one cycle is 3 days. Okay. So work done in one cycle. Is the work done in 3 days? In 3 days, the turtle will, in one day, in one cycle rather. In one cycle, work done will be C does 2 units. Right? Second day also C will do 2 units. That's his rate, remember. And third day, C and A and B. So C plus A plus B. That's going to be 6 plus 3, 9 plus 2, 11 units per day. Yeah. So what is the work done in one cycle? 2 plus 2, 4, 4 plus 11, 15. So if I can do 15 units per cycle, right? Next step is number of cycles. कितने cycles होंगे? सोचो 90 units तक जाना है. 15 का कौन सा multiple है जो 90 तक जाता है? 6. Right? So I know that approximately 6 cycles will get done. If it's 6 cycles that gets done, then work done in 6 cycles would be 15 times 6, that's 90. है ना? काम खत्म. But 6 cycles means how many days? One cycle is 3 days. If one cycle is 3 days, then 6 cycles will mean 6 times 3, that's 18 days. Right? So in 18 days, this work gets completed in its entirety. Yeah? Apurva says 15 days. Well, no, Apurva, it's going to be 16, right? 6 cycles, each cycle being 3 days long. Right? No, Muskan, it won't be 6 days, it will be 6 cycles. Be careful. Right? Be very, very careful in such problems. है ना? एक और try करो. Right? Similar question है. You have these people, these girls, Anjali and Pooja. है ना? देखो time क्या दिया हुआ है? 18 days and 24 days. So 18 और 24 का LCM कितना होगा? Let the work be 72 units. So Anjali's rate will be 18 into 4 and Pooja's rate will be 24 into 3, right? Units per day. Okay. And they decide to work individually on alternate days, which means what? Which means day and who works. So day 1. Now what is the soonest? Soonest means सबसे जल्दी काम खत्म करना है. तो अगर आपको काम जल्दी खत्म करना है तो A और अंजलि और पूजा में से whom will you depute first? You'll say Anjali does more work, so you'll start with obviously Anjali working on day 1. Then next day you'll have Pooja, and from here on the cycle keeps on repeating. AP, 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 and so on. Right? Now, what is the cycle that repeats? कितने दिन का साइकिल है जो यहाँ पे रेपिटेटिव है? AP, AP, AP. तो AP एक साइकिल में का हिस्सा होगा ना. So this is a cycle of 2 days. ज्यादातर जब 2 लोग होते हैं तो 2 ही दिन का साइकिल बनता है, राइट? नॉट दैट that's a given, but most of the times, है ना? तो अब यहाँ कंटिन्यू करते हैं इसी लॉजिक को, इसी अप्रोच को. सो आई नो वन साइकिल इज 2 days, सो वर्क डन इन वन साइकिल निकालते हैं. वर्क डन पर साइकिल in one cycle, A works for 1 day, so 4. B, Pooja also works for 1 day, so she'll do 3 units. So together they are able to finish 7 units every day or every cycle. Right? How many such cycles can happen? मतलब 7 का कौन सा मल्टीपल है जो 72 के पास जाएगा? तो आप क्या करोगे? 72 को 7 से डिवाइड करके देख लो. Right? 7 into 10 is 70. That leaves me with the remainder of 2. Right? Now, usually this 2 will be troublesome. Right? So I'll make a note of that separately. But for now, I know that it's 10 cycles that leave me with 2 units of work left. Right? So work done in 10 cycles should be 75 meters. Right? Now 10 cycles means how many days, by the way? Each cycle is 2 days, right? So 10 cycles means 20 days. So 20 दिन में 75 units काम हो गया है. Sorry, 70 units काम हो गया है. तो work left कितना हुआ? That's 72 minus 70. That's 2 units. और काम करने के लिए कौन है? Right? So right? So you have 2 units of work left. Now who works on the next day? सोचो एक cycle खत्म हुआ है. Next day you are entering the start of the next cycle, which means A works. Right? And ideally A can complete 4 units in an entire day, and he only has 2 units left. Right? So if you want the time taken on the next day, you'll say work upon rate. कितना काम बचा है? 2 units. कितना rate पे काम होता है? 4 units per day. So it will take half a day. So the total time taken slightly more is 20 and a half days. That's option A. I hope this is making sense to you, Nisban. And why did I start with Anjali on day 1? Because you wanted to. Because I want to finish early, right? So obviously you'll put the more efficient worker at the start. है ना? ये करके बताइए आप जरा. You're given that people work in groups, right? This is like a combination problem, right? A, B together 30 days, B and C together 24 days, C and A together 40 days. तो मैं 30, 24 और 40 का LCM ले लेता हूँ वर्क को. So let the work be 30 और 40 का LCM 120 होता है जो 24 से divisible है. So work will be 120 units. And instead of individual rates, I'll get group rates for these 3 groups, right? और group rate combined rate ही होगा. तो A plus B आएगा 120 by 30, that's 4, है ना? Similarly B plus C आएगा 120 by 24, that's 5, and C plus A will come out to be 120 divided by 40, that's 3 units a day, right? So 5, 4 and 3. अगर इन तीनों को मैं ऐड कर दूं, ठीक है? क्यों ऐड करते हैं? क्योंकि A plus A 2A हो जाएगा, B plus B 2B हो जाएगा, C plus C 2C हो जाएगा. So it will become a symmetrical equation. A plus B plus C into 2 equals 4 plus 5 9, 9 plus 3 12. Right? Which means A plus B plus C is 6. Right? And the question asks you for how long will they take together, right? So together their combined rate is 6. Unit क्या है? 6 units per day. So if the question says how long will they take, it's asking me to calculate time, which I know will be work upon rate. कितना work करना है? 120. किस rate पे करना है? 6 units a day. So 20 units, 20 days. That's option A. Right? I hope you guys are following. Yes, Muskan, perfect. Option A, 20 days. अच्छा, अगला प्रॉब्लम जो है मैन डेज वाला है. यहाँ जहां पे इस टाइप के क्वेश्चन में वर्क नहीं रेट अज्यूम करते हैं, राइट? एंड हाउ डू यू नो व्हेन टू अज्यूम रेट? वेल, द फर्स्ट क्लू यूल गेट इज दैट यूल हैव मल्टीपल पीपल हु वर्क इन अ same piece of job, but they also work they are of similar type or nature. It's like saying, let's say I have 20 carpenters, right? Now even if I have 20 carpenters and each one is individually different, in a problem though you will assume that however many carpenters there are or however many people you have of one particular type, they will have a particular value for rate, right? That's something that you will assume. So if you assume that the rates are similar, you can also assume them to be equal, right? So that's that's the approach that we'll take. First assume the rate of every individual, and whichever group is supposed to work, you calculate their rate, right? You calculate their revenue share. How much? Sorry, you'll calculate their rate, right? You'll assume their rate for each individual, and depending on how many people are actually working, from the individual rate you can calculate the group rate, right? And by using the group rate you can estimate the work, and once you estimated the work, the problem will automatically say, okay, what if the group changes, how long will that group change, right? So if you are changing the group, then you go back to first principles and say, okay, in the new group, what is the number of people working, and hence what is the rate? And once you have the rate and you've already estimated the work, you can calculate time taken, right? And then so that's straightforward. Consider this as an example. 8 people take 96 days to finish a job, right? So what you do is you assume, let's say one man does 1 unit per day, right? So 8 people will do 8 units a day, okay? And what if 8 people worked not for 1 day, let's say they worked for 225k, right? So for 225k, A gets a, है ना? तो अब आप कहोगे 8 people का रेट तो 8 units per day हो गया, ये work for 96 days, so work done will actually be rate into time. Rate is 8 and time taken is 96, right? But the same work will also be done by 6 workers. So R2 for 6 workers, if one worker does 1 unit a day, 6 workers will do 6 units a day. So R2 is 60, T2 निकालना है. How long will they take together? So the same work will be done by the second group also, no? So this will be 6 into T2. So on equating, you'll get the answer. 6 into 16, 16 into 8 is 128 marks in the symbiosis law exam. Okay, try this one. Good answer, Nisba and Muskan. ये वाला try कीजिए. Quantity of rice serves 100 men for 15 days. How many men will it serve for 6 days? अगर 100 लोग 15 दिन खा सकते हैं तो कितने लोग हैं जो 6 दिन में खाना खत्म कर लेंगे? Will it be, obviously it will be more than 100 men, right? Okay, will it be 200, 250, 225 or 275? Yeah. So what you can do is you assume, let's say one man eats 1 unit per day. Right? So you have 100 men, which means they'll eat 100 units per day, right? So the rate is R1 is 100, right? And T1 is given to me as 15 days, right? So this is how much food I'll get, right? So the work or food, right, will be rate into time. Rate is 100, time is 15, but it should also be equal to R2 into C2. Right? So what do I get? 100 into 15 equals, this will also be the same as the new rate into new time. Now new rate कहाँ से आएगा? पता नहीं, right? But मुझे ये पता है 6 दिन काम करते हैं. So this should be R2 into new time taken T2, which will be 6 days. So R2 निकल आएगा. So as a result, you know, the time taken will be 1500 upon 6. So that's the rate at which the second group works. कितना आ रहा है ये? 250. So if you want 250 units per day, and you know one man eats only 1 unit per day, you want to eat 250 units in 25 days. So then I can get it done by using how many beetles? Well, if one person takes 250, rate that you need is 250 units per day. If one man eats 1 unit per day, then how many men will eat 250 units per day? 250 men clearly. So that's the number of additional work this company needs to employ and utilized in their classrooms, right? Yep. Okay. Yeah, here's a variation. So slightly tricky problem. Not that it's very hard, but slightly tricky, right? What do you see? Right? You can see that there are women who work, 20 of them. There are men also who work. Now, can I assume the rate of women and men? Answer is no. you can assume any one of them, right? Let's say one woman does 1 unit every day and one man does X units every day. Yeah. Now, how many women do I have? 20 men. So let's go with this step by step. First step, right? We have 20 women. Rate will be the work done by 20 women in a day. So that's going to be 20 units per day, right? And time given to me is 15 days. So this, if this can do the work, then 20 into 15 is the work done. Okay. Second statement given. 25 men, on the other hand, can complete the same work in 10 days. 25 men. So we'll assume that we've already assumed that one man does X units every day. So if you have 25 men, then new rate will be 25x per day and time given to him is 10 days. Pondered about it? Yeah. But this is going to be the same amount of work, right? So I can equate. So 20 into 15 should be equal to 25x into 10. And what's the magic unfold? Right? 5 5s are 25, 3s are 15, 5 5s are 25. So we'll get x as, okay, 3 into 2, 6, right? So 6 minus 1, 5 divided by 5. So that's 1 unit every day. Right? So, oops, I think slip of hand. Yeah. So yeah. So you're getting 6 by 5, right? So 6 by 5 units per day, or 1.2 units per day is the rate of a man. Now what is the question saying? How long will 5 men and 4 women take, right? Now you have a group. So that group rate G will be that of 5 men, so 5x, and 4 women, that's 4 into 1, right? 5 into x, if x is 6 by 5, 5 into x will be 6. So you're getting 6 plus 4, that's 10 units a day. So if the group does 10 units every day and the work done is the same as we calculated, so then you'll say 15 into 20 is 300. Work done is equal to rate 10 into time taken. Time taken should be surely 30 days. That's a good answer, Purva. Option B. है ना? तो पहले मैंने women का rate assume कर लिया, and by equating work done by 20 women in 15 days with work done by 25 men in 10 days, I can calculate the rate of a man. And once you have rate of a man and rate of a woman, you can calculate the group rate, and using work given, you can calculate the time taken. Right? Okay, one last question for the day. Architect employs 30 laborers to complete an assignment in 30 days, but 5 days later he realizes he is behind schedule. मतलब वो क्या रहा है कि उसको लगा कि भाई 30 workers 30 days में काम खत्म कर लेंगे. But when does he realize he's estimated wrongly? He realizes after 5 days, right? So after 5 days he realizes that estimate is wrong. Estimate is inaccurate. ठीक है, तो इसलिए हम क्या करें? हम कहेंगे let one laborer finish 1 unit per day, right? So when the work starts, you had 30 laborers, which means the rate would be 1 unit for a 1 labor means 30 laborers will have 30 units per day, right? And how long does he do? So he first works with these 30 laborers for 5 days, and at that point he realizes, oops, I'm running behind time. So he hires additionally 10 laborers, which means the laborers become 40. So now you have 40 laborers, and their rate, is still 1 unit every day. So their rate is still going to be 30 and 30 is the work rate for 30 laborers. So rate for 40 laborers will be 40 units per day, right? And by hiring these additional 10 laborers, he ends up finishing it 1 day ahead of schedule. What does this mean? If you finish ahead of schedule, you finish before time, right? You finish before time. कितने दिन पहले? You finish 1 day before time. तो मतलब एक दिन पहले मतलब you finish on day 29 itself you finish. 30 days का टारगेट था ना, तो एक दिन पहले खत्म कर लिया मतलब 29 days में खत्म कर लिया. बट 5 दिन तो इसमें से पहले ही निकल गए, तो ये एक्स्ट्रा वर्कर्स विल वर्क फॉर हाउ लॉन्ग? The work will be done for 29 minus 5, that is 24 days. और जैसे आप इसको फिगर आउट कर लोगे, अब ये सीक्वेंस वाले क्वेश्चन जैसा हो जाएगा. W1 plus W2 should be the total work. W1 कितना है? 30 into 5. W2 40 into 24. Right? This should be the total work. तो ये टोटल वर्क अगर आप कैलकुलेट करते हो तो 24 into 40 is 960 और 30 into 5 is 150. 6 plus 5 11. 9 plus 2 11. 1110. Right? 1110 units. Right? So the question says, how long would the assignment have been delayed if additional laborers had not been hired? मतलब अगर 30 laborers ही काम करते और ये total work पे काम करते, तो आप कहते, right, 1110, the total work should be the rate which would have remained 30 units per day for how long, right? So you'll get time as 111 by 3, that's 37 days. है ना? तो जो काम 30 days में होना चाहिए था वो एक्चुअली 37 days लगाएगा. So कितने दिन से असाइनमेंट डिले होता? If it gets completed in 37 days, you'd get a delay of 7 days. Does that make sense, Apurva? You marked 3 days. I'm not sure how you got 3, but I hope it's clear what I've done here. पहले हमने इंडिविजुअली निकाल लिया. 30 लेबरर्स करेंगे 5 दिन का काम, 30 into 5 150. फिर 40 लेबरर्स करेंगे 24 दिन का काम, 24 into 40 960. इन दोनों को ऐड किया तो हमें लगा ओके, टोटल वर्क डन बाय देम इज 1110 डेज, सॉरी 1110 यूनिट्स. अब इतना काम अगर 30 लेबरर्स ही करते तो उनका रेट होता 30, तो टाइम निकलता 1110 डिवाइडेड बाय 30, व्हिच कम्स आउट टू बी 37 डेज. So this tells me that if without hiring the laborers, if we had done the work, it would have taken them 37 days. So work would have been delayed by 7 days. That's your answer. Right? So I hope that flavor मिल गया work के सारे types, question types का. ऐसे कोई भी question ऐसे tackle हो जाएगा as long as you use this kind of an approach. Either assume the work or assume the rate, and be very very clear on when I can do when I should take which approach. Right? Keep learning on the Unacademy app. If you haven't already downloaded it, please download the app today. There's tons of free content available on the app for free, right? So do check it out. You may also consider subscribing. There are very very reasonable and effective plans on Unacademy. All you need to do is install the app, and choose your goal as CAT, and you'll see these subscription plans. I'd really suggest that you go in for the 12 month 24 month plans, because those are the ones which are more effective. Don't forget to use my referral code AV01, 10% discount मिल जाएगा आपको, right? So continue to learn, guys. Do like and share this video, right? Let your friends know, and keep following us on YouTube and on Telegram. There's my my personal channel as well as the CAT4MBA channel. You can follow either of these to get updates on a daily basis, right? Thank you, guys. Have a great day. I hope that went off well for some of you, and I hope that the snap is going to be even better. Thank you. Have a great day.